Hey all, so this is War 7, we are up against NewN, and the map finally lined up that I was able to bring Absorbing Man, the first character that I built and helped bring to the game, in War. And I was just really freaking excited about that. Obviously, I'm using the I-Bomb synergy so that I'm also immune to poison. And then I also brought Daredevil Hell's Kitchen because that is my other favorite synergy for him, just allowing him to block better and then crit more without worrying about heavies. So for this Invisible Woman, we know that she is going to hit pretty darn hard if we get tagged. I am running an invulnerability boost right now, but I also made sure, in case I needed the pauses beyond what Hazard Shift was giving me, which I didn't expect, right? Because Absorbing Man is built very specifically to not need to worry about his forms against Hazard Shift. I did practice the sidesteps against her because sidesteps are your light attack, interrupting one of her basic attacks, and give you the 6-second pause. It's not worth going for if you're staying paused otherwise because it's a relative risk, but it's something that I did practice and made sure to have in my tool belt in case things started getting a little tight. Moving on to this Wolverine Weapon X, this is on paper an extremely simple fight for similar reasons. You basically just let him go berserk, and then he's going to be so aggressive for the rest of the fight, given Power Focus 1 here, that there's just not a lot to it. Now, the one way that you can mess that up is that you can slightly misjudge how long the Unstoppable is and get tagged and have him apply bleed on all 5 hits as he does and then lose half your health. Now, thankfully, it wasn't any more than half my health. I'm glad I had the Indestructible boost on, and then you see how this fight is supposed to go after that, which is just obviously beautiful. But it is what it is. I also will point out that immediately after I got tagged, I did have enough morph charges to refine. If I had been a bit more focused, I would have medium light mediumed early, and I probably could have saved myself a single potion just with the regen that would have added up before the end of the fight. Still, obviously, a very good counter. Nimrod is better, but Carl's doing just fine. Anyway, we heal up and we move on to Galan. Now, power efficiency does make this tricky because it basically means that by the time he gains 2 bars of power, he'll have enough power to throw 3 bars of power worth of specials. And 3 bars is all he needs to go into the harvest. And then we will take a chunky amount of damage because Absorbing Man has great resistances, but Galan's damage is specifically direct damage. And so that's why we did what we did just there. Note that I could have technically gotten more crits by heavy countering into the special 2, but Daredevil on the team was giving us even more critical rating than the heavy into stun normally gives us, so we landed more than normal, and I was also very confident that it was going to be enough, that I was going to be able to basically just kill him even if he went into the harvest from the incinerates from him hitting my block, and that's what happened. And so at this point, I was riding a pretty huge high, honestly, because I was like, yes, Carl is doing everything I built him to do. This is going to be absolutely amazing. I am just feeling like I'm on top of the world here. I have like huge puppy energy, I'm not going to lie. And so I just went right into this fight without re-upping my Indestructible boost. Now, I would have lost 2 hits of it right there, but I still wanted it because Carl's resistances provide no defense against special 3s. Because special 3s are not typed damage. They do not deal physical or energy. And on top of that, I was pretty concerned, or I kind of thought as I was running into this, while still amped up to 11, that I was going to be able to control planetary endurance by hitting into his block. And for the first part of the fight, that was correct. What I did not clock, and the reason that I should have listened to myself in previous wars, and use the Indestructible boost, is that controlling planetary endurance and aggression prowess is almost impossible to do at the same time, because one requires hits into block and one requires actual regular hits. And so I left myself open to too much of a cascade. If I hadn't eaten a special 1, I probably would have had enough health to push him to a regular special 3 earlier and actually survive it and then close this out. But I didn't have that option open to me because I just messed up. And if I had actually used an Indestructible boost like I planned, like I always assign this node with, and like just completely slipped my mind because I was too busy being excited, then that would have been a really simple clear instead of what you all just saw. Anyway, this is just probably something I'm going to have to deal with myself, because Carl is still an amazing counter for that. I'm not going to not assign myself in the future, and I do want to talk real quick about, like, when I am saying, like, oh, I was excited, I'm not saying that as an excuse, because I know that's probably going to be the response of some people. Stop giving excuses, you were stupid. Yeah, I was. The reason that I say that is not as an excuse, but it's so I have a reason for myself, so that I don't just wallow in self-pity for the next few days. Because I know that's what I will do if I don't have that out. This matters a lot to me, and if I don't have that specific out of, not out even, just like if I don't have that reason, because that is what happened, where I got too excited and that's why I did a dumb thing, then I will probably let it affect my mental health. And then that does nothing for anybody. So just talking through that, because I know that the last time I talked about mental health was helpful to some people, and I will get over it. That was my first death of the season, so there goes Deathless. It is definitely very sad that it was with my own character against a target champion, Annihilus. But it also goes to show that as good as Carl is in his target fights, the fact that most of them also are benefiting from a defensive global he doesn't really counter this season is making some things tricky, which is perfectly manageable as long as you use the proper gray boosts when assigning him, which I didn't do. Anyway, on to Void, which on paper should absolutely be harder. So, Void obviously does not ramp Absorbing Man. He has no armor breaks, and we have class disadvantage, and I kind of need to interrupt Carl's normal go, 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 pin the opponent to the wall floor in a fight like this to make sure that I am paying attention to my combo and controlling Void's intimidating presence. And so, like I said, on paper, this is a harder fight. It's funny how right out of the gate, I don't even know how I did that one. That wasn't a conscious decision. It was just like, oh, he's going to let me intercept him. And he did. So that was nice. But then one thing that you'll notice here is the way that I am interrupting the heavy with my light attack. That is what I practiced over and over and over again. And honestly, in duels, I did get smacked a few times because it is possible to mess up this spacing, to put it in the wrong place, to try and counter the wrong hit. But if you practice this, it's extremely reliable. And so basically this fight is just me doing that, and me watching my combo relative to his timer. So I said on paper it was harder, but actually, because of the way I practiced it, there's significantly less to this fight. Also, you'll just notice there that I said Void doesn't ramp him, but I kind of forgot until just now that if things happen to line up where Crumbling Armor came back around, that would ramp me, and actually do it pretty efficiently. So next time, maybe I will lean into that and try and get my Refine earlier that way, but it's not a big deal. That fight went absolutely perfectly, would not change it for the future. So then we have Attuma here, Obviously, if we parry, things are going to cascade because that's how Attuma works. Unintentional water pun, but that works. The important thing here is just to interrupt his heavy because that's how we're going to get pauses. There are no immunities or buffs at play here. And then we are not going to worry about thorns because it's going to show up from time to time, but it's physical damage, and that's why we're staying in Uru form, so we are ignoring 80% of it. I shouldn't have even tried to dex the special 2 until the end. That's just me being a little bit rusty on Attuma and kind of forgetting exactly where you dex out of the special 2 for the easy heavy counter. So, that was dumb. But the fight is still very much in control. I don't know why I'm using mediums here. Oh, that's right, because I was going for the medium, light, medium, and one of them read as a medium, light, light. I remember that from playing the fight. I wasn't going for the light interrupts because I had the refine on hand, and that took precedence. So yeah, very simple fight. Carl versus Attuma was a bit of a target. It was something that we playtested specifically. So you could switch over to Magma and use Carl for this long shot. It would be totally fine. The fact that you would be immune to Incinerate means that you don't get Fate Sealed. You don't have to worry about the passive Incinerates. I considered it, but I do like class advantage. I don't like missed parries. That is what it is. But that also kind of shows why I went I-Bomb. He is tanky, he has those weaknesses, that physical resistance, and Longshot's actual hit damage is physical. He has class advantage, and that is something that you kind of have to remember with Carl, is that you are very tanky in exactly one way at a time. And so against Longshot, if I'm defending against the Special 2, I'm not defending against the Special 1 or his basics, and vice versa. Now, technically, I-Bomb isn't defending against the Special 1. He has no counter to bleed. But he took basically no damage from that combo to the face. He's healing it back up. If by some horrible stroke of luck we did push him to the Special 2 while in Pure of Heart, which isn't going to happen because we're staying on top of hitting him while he's stunned and controlling karma. But if that somehow happened, then we do have the energy resistance from the synergy with Carl, might keep us alive. Either way, we're not pushing it. This is just a very, very safe matchup, and I figured that having only one fight for I-Bomb meant it didn't matter how much health I lost, and it might end up saving me a potion or two on Carl. So we're just going to block this special 2 so that we don't have to worry about timing the decks perfectly. We're going to drop Make a Stand with a heavy again, and we are just going to go into the special 2 here. At some point. I was baiting out the special first. That is smart. Good job, past me. And then we do this. We just stay in close. We could immediately push to the special 1 and get that Toxic Aura paused earlier. I just wanted to get a few more poisons up on him before launching it to make sure that he was not going to wake up from it alive. Because if he did, he probably would have been in Pure of Heart and would have launched the special 2, and I just didn't want to mess with that. So now we move on to Nick Fury, which is honestly the main reason I assigned myself to Carl this war, because I am extremely comfortable fighting Nick. And so the fact that Carl doesn't directly counter the global, I felt like was offset with the fact that I just do not worry when fighting Nick Fury. So we use the global a bit there to push him to 2 bars of power. That's one of the most important things to remember with Nick, is that when you can push him to 2 bars, you do it. We are, of course, taking advantage of the fact that this is a hazard shift node to not really worry about form upkeep. We are also remembering that when we hit into his block and remove a flourish buff, that is a buff ending, and so also triggers our form pause. See, there it is again. And basically we're just not worrying about the form upkeep because this is a target fight. This would be a very bad matchup if this were not hazard shift and we were not having access to those easy pauses. We probably would get knocked out of forms a fair amount just because there's enough to play around in Nick's kit. So we bait him into a heavy there that was intentional, hitting into his block and immediately kind of blocking to dash out. And we push him over out of Unblockable and over 2 bars. That's kind of the thing that we're focused on here, is just managing his stacks. We don't really care if we eat the special 1. Like, even without physical resistance, Nick just doesn't hit that hard on his special 1. We can afford a few, but we're pushing him to the special 2 whenever we can, and we are going to refine here at some point. Not here. Or no, I did do it there. Okay. Yeah, we're going to refine here to get the healing. I guess based on the exact theory that I just said, that the special 1 isn't that dangerous. Also, we blocked immediately and got a little bit lucky that he didn't throw it. And then we just close this out. So that fight was a lot more about Carl works in this matchup, fight Nick Fury the way that you fight Nick Fury, than it was about specifically how does Absorbing Man fight Nick Fury, right? And I think that's kind of the takeaway from this entire war, is anywhere you should be using Absorbing Man in war, it should be more about, all right, you're in a good matchup. How do you fight the defender cleanly? Than it is about, what are the specifics of this matchup? How do I do my light intercepts? How do I do all of this fancy stuff I've seen in YouTube videos? He was not built for that. It's not necessary. It is probably going to get you hit more often than not. Just focus on the defender. And honestly, if I had done that a little bit more, I probably would have remembered, like, not remembered, because I knew it was there, but I would have properly processed aggression prowess, not gotten excited, remembered to re-up my invulnerability boost against Annihilus, and this would have been a really nice Deathless War. I still enjoyed it. These were fun fights. I hope you guys also enjoyed it. I'm glad I finally was able to assign him to myself and talk about it. There just was that one mistake to learn from. When Kate finally comes out, if I end up assigning her in war, I really need to avoid making the same mistake. Just a little bit less puppy energy next time. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this one, and until the next time, thank you so much for watching, and take care.